Most haunted objects are locked inside display cases, so visitors can see them safely. Mandy was locked away so the other exhibits could stay safe. In 1991, a woman walked into a museum in British Columbia carrying a porcelain doll wrapped in cloth. She didn't donate it because she was moving. She didn't donate it because she didn't want it anymore. She donated it because something inside her house would not stop crying. She told staff the sound came from the basement, every night, always after midnight, always from the same corner. The corner where Mandy sat. And she said something else before she left. She said the crying stopped the moment the doll left the house. At first, the museum assumed the story was grief, or imagination, or stress. People often bring stories with objects like this, but the woman insisted the crying had a pattern. Every night, exactly the same time, exactly the same sound. Not loud, not distant, close, like someone trying not to wake anyone upstairs. She said she checked the basement dozens of times. Every time she went down, the crying stopped. Every time she walked upstairs, it started again. Until the night she moved Mandy upstairs. The crying followed her. Mandy arrived wrapped carefully in cloth. Museum staff logged her like any other artifact. Late 1800s porcelain, glass eyes, original clothing, minor surface damage, nothing unusual. She was placed temporarily in storage overnight. By morning, 2 staff members reported something strange. Small objects inside the room had moved. Nothing dramatic, nothing broken, just misplaced, as if someone had been searching for something in the dark. Staff moved Mandy into a shared display area with other antique dolls. Within days, visitors began reporting headaches. Staff reported footsteps in empty corridors. One employee said she heard whispering near the exhibit after closing. At first, they assumed sound carried through the ventilation system. Then one morning, several dolls inside the case were facing the wrong direction. Only Mandy remained facing forward, looking directly toward the hallway entrance. That was the day staff moved her into her own case, alone. Night staff noticed the changes first. Security guards working alone after closing reported something consistent. Not movement, not voices, not shadows. Silence. The museum became quieter near Mandy's display than anywhere else in the building. Sound didn't travel normally there. Footsteps felt softer. Voices sounded distant. One guard reported something else. He said when he passed her display case, he always felt like someone had just stepped behind him. But when he turned around, no one was there.
Then the cameras began failing. Not all of them, just the ones facing Mandy's exhibit. Static appeared across the screen at random times. Recordings stopped unexpectedly. Timestamps skipped forward. Maintenance replaced the equipment twice. The problem continued. One technician later reported something unusual while reviewing footage frame by frame. He said Mandy appeared slightly closer to the glass between recordings. Not enough to prove movement, just enough to make him stop working alone at night. Months after Mandy arrived at the museum, a staff member working late cataloging artifacts reported hearing something familiar. A sound coming from storage. Soft, quiet, careful, like someone trying not to wake anyone upstairs. The same sound the previous owner described. Crying. When staff checked the room, no one was inside. Nothing had fallen, nothing had broken, and Mandy's display case was still locked. Visitors rarely describe Mandy the same way twice. Some say she looks lonely. Some say she looks angry. Some say her expression changes depending on where you stand. One visitor reported her camera battery dying the moment she tried taking a photo. Another said she heard breathing beside her while standing alone near the display. But the strangest report came from a child visiting the museum on a school trip. When asked which exhibit she liked most, she pointed directly at Mandy and said, "She wants to go back downstairs." No one asked what she meant. Today, Mandy still sits inside her own display case. Not because she's fragile, not because she's rare, because staff decided she shouldn't remain near the other dolls. Objects near her case continued moving unexpectedly. Small items disappeared, then reappeared later, in different rooms. Museum employees stopped storing artifacts nearby altogether. They never made a public announcement explaining why. They didn't need to. The staff already understood. Some exhibits are meant to be displayed. Others are meant to be contained. Visitors still see Mandy today, still photograph her, still walk past her quietly. Most leave thinking she's just another antique doll behind glass. But the museum still receives occasional messages from people who stood near her display and later heard something strange inside their homes. Something soft, something careful, something that sounded like crying in the basement. So the question isn't whether Mandy followed anyone home. The question is, who's she still waiting for downstairs? If you want more recovered artifact files investigators never explained, subscribe to Fright Screams. And tell me below, would you stand alone in the museum after closing, knowing Mandy was still inside?